Good morning to everybody, and welcome back to one more live session with Neetu's Academy. This is Anne with you, and I hope that you all had you are having a great week. We are nearing the weekend, and that your practice sessions are going well, and you're keeping yourself good, right? So, with that note, let's start the session today. Being a Thursday, we are going forward with our writing precision live, where we are discussing from the past few sessions about the writing task. Especially, we have taken the task 1. Task 1, writing for academic. Right now, we are processing with the writing task 1 for academic candidates, and after that, we'll go forward with general. So, I think we have completed almost 3 types of graphs on which we have to write a report or a summary for task 1, right? We have completed bar graph, line graph. At the same time, we have also completed pie diagram last session, right? So now today we are going to take one more type of diagram actually, which has to be converted into a 150-word report or a summary, right? So now on your screen you can see the details of what we are going to discuss. We are going to take today table, right? To just give an overview of what is writing task 1 for academic, it is called as a report. It is called as a report writing. It is also called as a summary writing. Either you say report or you can also say it is a summary writing, right? Now, what is report writing or what is summary writing? It is wherein you will be given certain graphs, okay, or maybe diagrams which you have to convert into a 150-word report, right? So the word count is 150. You have to write at least minimum 150 words, right? That is mandatory. If you plan to go above that, or if your writing goes above 150, you can definitely write about 150, but then always make sure that you don't go overboard. So try to keep it between 150 to 180. That is was the average we say. Now, if you want to go 185, 190, there's no problem. You can write 190-word report also. You can write 200-word report also, but then always suggested that you have only to write this report, you have only 20 minutes, right? So in this 20 minutes, you have to take a few minutes to study the diagram, understand the question, plan what you're going to write, and then you write your report. In the end, you have to recheck your report. All these things have to be done. So for that, you have all these things have to be managed in this 20 minutes. So accordingly, you have to plan how you are going to write your report within this 20 minutes, right? That is a word count. Now, the different kinds of diagram which are a part of this report writing are, I told you, we already discussed bar diagram, that is called as bar graph. Then there's a thing called line graph, which we have finished. The next one is a pie graph, or you can call it as a pie diagram. And today we are going to take table, right? These are the 4 major kind of graphs or diagrams. Now there is a next kind of report on which it's called process. It's called as a process diagram. And then we also have got maps. These are 2 types. And then one more type is called combination chart. Now combination chart is wherein these 4 which we have already discussed, one we are going to discuss today, out of these 4 maybe they will give you 2. They can give you a bar graph and a line graph together, or a line and a pie together, pie and a table together, table and a bar together. Either ways. So that's why it's called a combination chart, right? So 2 diagrams, you have to write a report on the same. Fine. This is what the overview of the report, task 1 report writing is all about for academic candidates, right? Now, it is a very formal kind of writing. Now, any kind of report you're writing, any kind of diagram you're writing, it is a very formal way of writing. It's a very objective way of writing. That's why do not include your opinion, right? Task 2 essay writing there are opinion-based essays, non-opinion-based essays. You give your own ideas, you present your own expressions there. But in this kind of writing, task 1 report, you don't have to give your opinion because it is a very formal way of writing. There's nothing subjective in this. Everything is very objective. You cannot say I think, or I believe, or I see what is mentioned in the diagram. It is already given to you. You have to just express those in words, right? So you may need to compare data because it is always values which are compared. You take pie, you take bar graph, you take line graph, you take table. Everything is where numbers are there. Okay, so it's a comparison of values, which maybe some labels are given, right? And they are being compared in a different period of time, or maybe in a single year. For a single year, some labels, there's a comparison between them, right? So from different periods, it can be like different time period. It can be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, or maybe it can only be only one given year. In that one given year, what are the changes, what happened in that particular label is what you have to compare. Maybe sometimes there may be no date at all. There is maybe no time period at all, right? Without time period, there may be a comparison between 2 or 3 labels. That is what this is all about, right? Okay. Now, how do you approach these questions are, you need to have a 5-step approach for this. The first thing is common for all the kinds of reports. Almost it is common for all the kind of reports, right? Not only for table. We are taking table today, okay? This is what we are discussing today, right? How to write a 150-word report on a table, which is given to you. Okay, our 5-step approach. First, understanding the marking criteria. Okay, what are the rubrics, what are the band descriptors on which you will get a band? Okay, so there are 4 band descriptors, there are 4 rubrics, right, on which you are being judged. So first one is your task achievement, that is TA, right? So TA is wherein you have a proper format for your essay. You are writing your question, you are answering your question completely, right, and accordingly what they have asked you correctly, right? That is what is expected from your task achievement, right? You need to have all the references which are given in your question. You cannot decide, right, if the references are given which has to be included in your essay, that has to be included, right? That you have to take care of. Next comes your coherence and cohesion. Coherence and cohesion is nothing but writing in your report in a very systematic manner which becomes easy for the person to understand. Okay, systematic flow of information. That is what is coherence and cohesion is, right? If you're giving your paragraphs, normally all these reports are divided into paragraphs, ideally 4 paras, right? So when you write these paragraphs, what all information comes first? If you're writing about a particular label, do give the information about that completely, then go to the next label and then go to the next one, however it is. You cannot write about something in the first line, write about something else and then continue with the first thing again. Like for example, when you give an example itself. When you write an essay, we always say write a continuity, keep a continuity for your essays when you give an example. Similarly, here you have to keep a continuity with the information which you are providing in your report, right? That is coherence. Next is your lexical resource, that is simply known as your vocabulary. The words which you use, it's a very formal way of writing, okay? So you have a set of words which is very formally used in your report writing. Right? Certain way you start your introduction, certain way you give your overview, certain way you give comparative information, superlative information. How do you give those changes, those values? You have certain language for that which you have to follow. That is your vocabulary lexical resource. That is your grammar and accuracy. Okay? You need to take care of your sentences, your tenses especially. If you're writing something, if a table or a graph shows something about from the past, you have to use past tense. If something is from the present, you will use present tense, and something is from the future, maybe something which may happen. Okay? Future tense. Okay? So that is marking criteria. 4 descriptors on which you are being marked. Shari. Next one is paraphrasing your question. This must be very common to all the IELTS candidates who are aware of IELTS writing module. കാരണം ഇതേ സാധനം നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ടാസ്ക് 2-ലുമുണ്ട്. Paraphrasing your question statement. Paraphrase is a very common word in IELTS. I think all the modules. You can see reading, you will see synonyms like paraphrase statements, which is given in statements. Listening le poyalum, we will have this paraphrased word. When you listen to an audio, we say that maybe the questions which are given to you in the question set may be paraphrased and given to you. Adavade undu. Adebole, in speaking also, we say use paraphrase. When the moderator is asking a question, try to paraphrase that question. When you reply to that, try to use paraphrasing version of what they have asked. Similarly, writing task 1, task 2. This word is very, very common when it comes to IELTS candidates. Paraphrasing means using different words but not changing the meaning of something which is already asked or given to you. Okay, that is what is paraphrasing question statement, which is an ideal thing for introduction. അതിപ്പോൾ ടാസ്ക് 2-ലായാലും ടാസ്ക് 1-ലായാലും we generally go for paraphrasing the question statement. So that is very important, right? Next is writing an overview. So paraphrasing gives the introduction, right? Next comes your overview statement, right? So when you write your overview statement, now before that, before you come to the 5 steps, I already told ideally every report is a 4-paragraph structure, right? So the 4-paragraph structure would be this one, wherein you have your introduction paragraph as your paragraph 1, your overview paragraph as your paragraph 2, and then you have your para 3 and para 4, which is your first main feature and second main feature, BP1 and BP2. This is your ideally 4. Some of the reports can see 5 paragraphs. That is introduction, overview, and 3 body paragraphs. That is also acceptable. If you want to write a 5-paragraph essay report, you can please go forward and write it if you have got enough information, especially for a table and all. There is immense amount of information which is given, but ultimately always remember one thing: you cannot be mechanical and write everything which is given to you and make your report look like clustered, right? It is very important that you choose the most main features. Okay, so writing an overview. Okay, that's the third step. Then you support your overview with detail, which is your paragraphs. Whatever you have written in your overview paragraph as a summary, or maybe as a most important features which you can view in the diagram, you have to support that with details. ഒരു സാധനം ക്ലെയിം ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അതിന് സപ്പോർട്ടിംഗ് ഡേറ്റ വേണം, ബാക്കപ്പ്. That will be done in para 1, BP1 and BP2. So that is your support overview details. 4th step. And then check your work. This is very important. In the end, always proofread your report. Always proofread. Maybe minor punctuation errors, minor typing mistake or spelling errors, simple grammar mistakes, that can be sorted out if you recheck or proofread your report. So that is also important. So this is the 5-para structure which you follow while writing a report. Okay. Now let's come to the structure which I already told you. Now what does the question look like? The question for every diagram has got 3 parts, which I think I repeated in the previous session also, but let me tell it again. Every question consists of 3 sentences. Sorry, 3 parts, not 3 sentences. It's divided into 3 parts, 2 sentences and 1 diagram. Sentence 1 is a brief description of the graph or the graphic. Okay, whatever diagram is there, what does that tell? What does it show? It is given in that one statement, one sentence which is given to you. Okay, that is your first sentence. Second sentence is your instruction for the candidate, what you have to do. Okay, that is what the second sentence is all about. And third is the diagram itself, the graph itself. It can be a chart, it can be a graph, it can be a table, it can be a process, it can be a map, right? So these are 3 parts in which the question for a report is divided into. When we discuss the sample, we can see it, right? So sentence 1, like I told, is a brief description of the graphic. Sentence 2 tells you what you have to do. So when the question is given to you, summarize the main features, right? Then they say that as a first statement, summarize the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Write in 150 words. That's your second statement, second sentence, your instruction. There is a word called main features, which is very common, right? Main features, you select those main features, then you write about those main features and you compare those main features. Right? That is what you do. So main features is a common word. Right? Every diagram will have various features. Your job is to select the most significant one or the most important. Okay? The most important feature has to be chosen. You have to write about it and then you have to compare it in your paragraphs, which will give you detail about it. So that's a 3 tasks will have main features very common. Right? This is about the second sentence. The third is the diagram itself, whatever is the graphic. Okay? So this is what the question will look like. Now structure, like I already mentioned earlier, introduction. Now what is the introduction? Introduction is a paraphrase of your question statement. Now for example, I have taken a question statement here. This is a question statement which is coming. The table below shows the figures for genres of TV programs watched on a streaming service by country in millions. So type of chart is table. Type of graphic is table. What is it showing? It shows the figures, the numbers. Figures mean the numbers. For genres, different types of people. It can be it is different kinds of content. For genres means different kind of content, right? It can be for children, it can be for, it can be news, or it can be something else, family drama, whatever it is. Movies, of TV programs, different kinds of TV programs people watch. Where? On a streaming service, or maybe it can be a streaming platform like Netflix, Amazon, or whatever, on a OTT platform, by country in millions, and the value is in compared in millions. Now you can see in this particular question there is no time period mentioned, right? They have not mentioned from this period to this period, or this year, or this month to this month, right? If at all it is mentioned, it will be in the diagram. If it is given, if in diagram, you can take it down as a reference from your diagram. So when you write your introduction, you paraphrase this question statement. At the same time, you take any information which you get from the diagram. Now you can see that in your paraphrase statement, the table compares. Now the table, it is a type of chart is table, you have to mention that. They have given shows, we have rephrased that with compares, because it is making a comparison. What is it comparing? Compares 4 countries. Here they have given by country. Notice actually the diagram must be giving you a table which has got 4 countries. That is what is added. In terms of what? In terms of number of people. Definitely. Figures of genres watched. Who will watch the program? People will watch. So in terms of number of people. How? In millions, which is already given here. So they are being compared. It is in millions. Right? What did they do? Who watched? 4 different. Now here they have given 4 genres only, but here we can see 4 different. So this 4 comes from that diagram. Definitely the table is giving you 4 different types of programs. So you have taken that 4 from there of television programs. Now what are these 4 programs? It is comedy, horror, documentary, and true cinema. So these are the 4 genres which have been watched by people, which people are watching. Now this is put in bracket acceptable. When you're writing an academic report, you can put details in. You already given your television programs. Either you don't put that bracket and you complete it by genres of television programs on a streaming service, right? Or maybe you can put a bracket, or maybe you can write television programs, namely put a semicolon and then write comedy, horror, documentary, and true cinema on a streaming service. Right? That is how, these are the changes which have been happened in this paragraph. The meaning of the sentence is not at all changed. Nothing has been changed. Whatever you read here, same you are reading here with some additional information, references taken from the table. Okay, that is how you do a paraphrasing question statement. That will complete your introduction paragraph. This is what introduction should look like. Fine. Okay, next is an overview. And this is not the sample, so I have not taken the overview. I just want overview will be taking the most important 2 is enough, or 2 to 3 features. If there are too much of features, and maybe if you find 3 important features are there, right? 3 important features, but don't give any details. No details in when you write your overview statement. That is, no details in numbers, right? Like for example, if there is a highest number about a label, whatever is that number, that you will not mention. You will say this particular XYZ label shows the highest, okay, number in this particular year, or just like that. That number will not come, but you will say that, okay, this is the highest number. Okay. So you write 2 to 3, maximum 2 is enough, 2 overview features, right? Then comes the first main feature, which you write in a BP1. This is your BP1, body paragraph 1. Paragraph 3, which becomes your body paragraph 1. What do you write in that? Now, when you write your body paragraphs, you have to you have to write it accordingly. You write the whatever you have written in your overview point as your most important feature, 1 each will come in your 1 paragraph. Okay, so if first overview point will come in your body para 1, and your second overview point will come in your body para 2. You'll give details supporting to that. Plus, if you find any additional information which is to be mentioned in your report, you'll mention that. Now, table has got, see, you can see comedy, horror, documentary, and true crime, which is given. 4 types of movies, 4 types of genres they are showing. Now, not necessary that you have to write the numbers for all this one. In this, maybe 2 is the most prominent. 2 are not less. 2 are less important. Maybe 3 is giving most data. 1 is not that important, giving important numbers illa. So mention it. Numbers edililum kodapilla. You can ignore that data, but then mention at least one sentence about that particular reference which is given in your question, which is given in your table. Okay, maybe it is showing the people in millions for maybe for 3 periods or whatever it is, right? 3 years or 3 months or whatever it is. So maybe you don't write the numbers, but make in a comparative language you can mention that particular genre. We'll come to that when you check the comparative language description. Okay. So you write your main feature 1 in BP1 and you write your main feature 2 in your BP2 at 1 each, and plus some additional any information which you feel like okay it's relevant, I need to mention that will come in your body paragraphs. Okay, that is how you write your body paragraphs. Next, so that completes the structure, okay, for table. Next thing what we have to see, always suggested for all kind of reports use a comparative language, because the question says make comparisons where relevant. Okay, when you read your question you can see this is very common in all the questions. They say make comparisons where relevant. So that is expected from you. They are expecting you to write a comparative language. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ വാല്യൂസ് ആണ് ഇതെല്ലാം കമ്പാരിസൺ, എല്ലാ ഗ്രാഫിലും കമ്പാരിസൺസ് ആണ്, നമ്പേഴ്സിൻ്റെ കമ്പാരിസൺ ആണ്. ഒന്നെങ്കിൽ ജെൻഡർ കമ്പാരിസൺ ആയിരിക്കാം, ഒന്നെങ്കിൽ ഏജ് കമ്പാരിസൺ ആയിരിക്കാം, മേ ബി സം ലേബിൾസ് ഹാവ് കമ്പയർഡ് ഇൻ ടേംസ് ഓഫ് ഇയേഴ്സ് ഓർ മേ ബി ഇൻ ടേംസ് ഓഫ് പോപ്പുലാരിറ്റി, ഓക്കെ, പ്രിഫറൻസ് ലെവൽ, ചോയ്സ് ലെവൽ, എന്തിൻ്റെയും കമ്പാരിസൺ ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ കമ്പാരിസൺ ചെയ്യുമ്പം കമ്പാരിറ്റീവ് ലാംഗ്വേജ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ് കുറച്ചും കൂടി പ്രിഫറൻസും ബാൻഡ് കിട്ടാൻ ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്യുന്നതും, റൈറ്റ്? So let's see some comparative structures. For example, if the sentence is a considerably higher number of men than women chose to study Arabic. So yeah, they are telling that means higher number of men, that means men were more as compared to women when they chose to study Arabic, right? So considerably, that means considerable number, it is not minute number, a considerable higher number of men than women, okay, chose to study Arabic. That is a comparison. You're writing a comparative statement between man and woman of who took the highest number of admissions for Arabic courses or classes, right? So that is what one statement. Far more men than women studied French. Another way of writing, far more men than women studied French. അതായത് ലേഡീസ് ഫീമെയിൽസിനേക്കാളും മെയിൽസ് ആണ് ഫാർ മോർ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പം ടു മച്ച്. When you say considerable, okay, and consider it, it is not that high, but far more, the gap is too much. That's why we say far more men than women studied French. A 1-bedroom flat is as expensive in the UK is as expensive, right? Almost same in the UK as in the USA. That means both the things are almost similar. Ekadesham same aanu. That's why we say is as expensive in the UK as in the USA at £700 and £720 per month. Right? So that is what, because 700, 720 hardly difference is there. 20 pounds difference. That's why I say it's almost the same. Respectively. Now this word respectively is used because you have written the countries first and then you have given the amount later together. So which is which you have to come to know. So UK goes for 700 and USA is for 720. And that can be helped, that can be identified with the word respect. The moment you write respectively, this is what the information is telling. Right? A burger from a UK restaurant is not as expensive as a burger in the USA at £120 and £2. So this is a comparison where they are telling that in the UK restaurant is not as expensive. In USA it is expensive. UK is not as expensive. UK is cheaper as compared to USA. So in UK it is only 1.20 and in USA it is 2. So instead of telling that a burger from a UK restaurant is less than USA, okay, or a burger from UK restaurant is only 1.20 and at the same time in USA is 2.00. So that is a simple sentence. You're just giving the information that this is this, this is this. Other than that, when you make a comparison language is not as expensive. Okay, or when you can write it reverse also. A burger from a USA restaurant, it is less expensive than a burger from a UK restaurant at £2 and 1.20 respectively. So that is also a way of writing, another way of comparative structure. Bread was double the price of tea in 2020. So actually bread was double means bread is actually higher. So if tea is at 10, bread is at 20. Double the price of tea in 2020. Right? England had the highest price of bread in 2020. So in a particular table, if you're giving the highest number, it is always about the highest, the lowest, the increase and the decrease, the stable and the similarities, right? So if you're giving about the highest number, England had the highest price of bread in 2020. So these are some comparative structures which you can write when you're writing a report, especially a table. Okay, fine. So this is the basic things about how to write a table, right? Fine. Now let's take a sample. Now this is the sample question. You should spend about 20 minutes on this task, and this is the first part of the question. This is the second part of the question, and this is the third part of the question which we had discussed earlier. Sentence 1, which says the description about the table. Sentence 2 is instruction for the candidate, and third is the graphic itself. In this case, it is a table. So let's see. The table below shows the results of a survey that asked 6,800 Scottish adults aged 16 years and over. So this is the table below shows what the results of a survey. There was a survey which was conducted. The results of that survey is displayed on a table. About what? They asked about 6,800 Scottish adults in the range of 16 years and over. Okay, whether they had taken part in different cultural activities when in the past 12 months. Okay, so in the past year, whether they have participated in any of the cultural activities. Different means definitely they are more than one. Different cultural activities. The survey is between amongst 6,800 Scottish people. They are adults from 16 and above. Right, this is the question. Instruction for you is summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features, right, and make comparisons where relevant, right? That is, write at 150 words, write at least 150 words. This is a question. 2-part over. Third part is the graphic. You can see participation in cultural activities by age. So this is the first age, 16 and above they told, 16 to 24, 25 to 44, 45 to 74. Then all aged 16 and over. This is a total. This is a specific age, and then this is all aged. This is a complete average of it, right, which is given all over 16. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 types of activities. Any performance, any craft, undertaking any craft, cultural, visual arts, writing and computer based, right? The measuring unit is percentage. They are being measured in percentage, or they are compared in terms of percentage. You can see an information given the dancing, singing, playing musical instruments and acting. Okay, so this for any performance can be either dancing, singing, playing or whatever it is, any performance, right? Okay, so this is what the table is all about. That is the information in some numbers you can see, right? Fine. Now, first thing is you have to give introduction. Introduction will be you have to paraphrase this yellow thing which I highlighted. That is a question statement. Adaneyanu ninge paraphrase cheyendathu. Appo namukku nokkam how they have paraphrased it. If you compare that statement and the paraphrase statement, see. The table illustrates. Now they have given here the table below shows. The shows have been replaced with illustrates. What it illustrates? The results. The results, okay, of a survey they have told, of a research undertaken. Survey has been replaced with research, right? These are the paraphrased version. I am just highlighting it. Undertaken where? In Scotland, because it was among 6,800 Scottish people. So it is in the country of Scotland, undertaken in Scotland. With whom? With adults. Aged from what? 16 to 74. Now here you can see 16 and over it is given. But you have taken 74 from the table. because this is where it ends, 74, and this is where it starts. So it is from 16 to 74 years old people who lived in Scotland, right? What did they do? This is another version, reference taken from the question, the diagram. Assess their involvement or assess their maybe their participation, right? What all they participated in. Involvement in a variety of cultural activities, because you can see we already told when this six of them are there. Cultural activities when over a 12-month period. So variety of cultural activities are there because it is given here. Cultural activities participation, right? Participation or involvement, okay, that is for when it is for 12 months with over a period of, or over a 12-month period, or over a period of 12 months, over a period of 1 year. You can write in that manner also. Now that is where introduction ends. This is all the introduction will have, because nothing else. You have already told the type of table, what the table shows, the source of information, and you have given the time period. So that will end your introduction. Next comes your overview paragraph. Now you can see here the overview has been written along with the introduction, which is something which I will suggest not to do, right? Keep your overview paragraph separate always and start it with the overall. It will make the moderator realize, okay, this is your overview paragraph. So write it in a separate para. End this paragraph here and put it down, overview as a second paragraph, right? As a structure which you have to follow, it becomes easy for them. But you can see reports wherein this is also a method of writing. Now, if your language is very good, it will be okay. There's no rule that you cannot write it over there, but there's a standard structure which we follow. IDP and LTS has recommended that structure to be followed, so it becomes easy for you and the moderator to understand. So just follow that structure. So overview paragraph will come in the second para, which says, overall, it is evident that. Now, overview we told with the most main feature. Main features are, it can be the highest number, the lowest number, the decrease, the increase, the similarity, the stability. It can be anything. So when you look at this thing, you can see when you see the average itself, you will come to understand 22 is the highest number, right? And 6 is the lowest number. That means the highest number of participants were for any performance. And the lowest participants were for computer-based activities, right? Rest all are in between. So this can be your overview point when you write in your overview paragraph. That is the highest number and the lowest number, right? So that is something which you can write. So when you write, it is evident, overall it is evident that participation in any performance and crafts. You can see any performance, right? And crafts, 22 and 19, right? Were the most popular. They were the most popular because 19 and 22 are nearby. Hardly a 3% difference. That's why it is the most popular. They have for all age groups. Now you can add one more point here. At the same time, or you can write meanwhile, okay, either you write meanwhile, okay, or you may write on the other hand. You can write that also, so no space here, so you can just write on the other hand, participation in writing and computer based activities. You can say this is 7 and this is 6, or maybe just you can take computer based, right? Because in this age it is 17, so you can say that participate at the same time, or meanwhile, or on the other hand, writing and computer based activities had the least number of participants. That is another way of writing it, right? Instead of writing the same sentence, right, participation in any performance and crafts are most popular for all age groups. At the same time, participation in writing and computer based activities were the least popular. Instead of that, you can write, at the other hand, writing and computer based activities had the least number of participants, right, in all age groups. So that is something you can write as your second overview point, which I would write if I am writing this essay, right? Okay, so that will complete your introduction and your overview. അത്രയുള്ളൂ. പിന്നെ വരുന്ന നമ്മുടെ പാരഗ്രാഫ്. ഇത്രയും എഴുതി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ തന്നെ ഏകദേശം ഒരു 75% വർക്ക് ഇസ് ഡൺ. Because you have understood the diagram, you have written the overview. ഇനിയും വരുന്നത് overview point description മാത്രമാണ്. നിങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞു this is highest, this is lowest. എത്രയാണ് highest, എത്രയാണ് lower. That is what you will write, right? So the highest, the first para will be about the highest participation, because that is your first overview point. the highest participation in any activities was seen in the 16 to 24 age group, that is any activities, with 35%, you can see here, and 22% respectively. 35 and 30%. 16 to 24, you can see 35%, right? Okay, and then almost, right, 30% respectively doing performance and visual arts, right? You can do here undertaking, this is not this one, this is visual arts, right? So 35 is, after 35 it is 30. So visual arts is followed by any performance, right? So it is with 30% respectively doing performance and visual arts. In contrast, now this is something which is very important. Contrast language. In contrast, highest പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഇനി lowest പറയുക. Contrast opposite എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ lowest ആണ്. Other activities were much lower. You can see other activities were much lower, particularly those were computer based. ഏറ്റവും lower കാണിക്കുന്ന computer based 10%, right? Rest 11% is undertaking any crafts and cultural purchase. So the highest is any performance and visual arts, right? And computer based activities is the lowest at 10%, right? So that will give you the highest and lowest. അപ്പോൾ 3 കാര്യങ്ങൾ എഴുതി കഴിഞ്ഞു. എനി പെർഫോമൻസും കഴിഞ്ഞു, വിഷ്വൽ ആർട്സും കഴിഞ്ഞു, കമ്പ്യൂട്ടർ ബേസ്ഡ് ഓൾസോ റിട്ടൺ. നെക്സ്റ്റ്, turning to the older age groups. Now you have told about the 16 to 24 age group. Now we are coming to the older age group, like under 25s. The highest participation rate is seen for 25 to 44-year-olds was in performance, though this was much lower at only 22%. So you can see here, this is 22% here and this is 17%, right? Where are we? Okay. A similar rate of 22% was evident for the most popular activity for 45 to 75 age group. Same number, you can see crafts, the same number. Okay. This is just 22%, this is 22%, but performance is alag. This is any performance, this is undertaking crafts. And age is also different. 25 to 44 and 45 to 74, right? So, evident for the most popular activity group, which was crafts. Again, the popularity of computers was very low for all those who were 25 plus and was interest in writing. So you can see computer based again for 25 to 44 is only 9 and for them it is 5, right? But this is for 25 to 44. When you say computer based is 9 here, for them it becomes 5. So this is actually lower. 45 to 74, writing and computer both are low, right? So only for these people this is low and this is little bit high as compared to 25 to 44, right? That is something which you can write in your second para. Taking all age groups, so that will complete. You have written about performance, undertaking arts, visual arts, writing and computer, right? If you take all of them together, right, taking all age groups together, it can be seen that performance and crafts were the most popular at over 19%, right? This one, because 22 we have already mentioned. Whereas cultural purchases and visual arts were slightly less popular at 16% and 15% respectively. So we have to write, we have not written about cultural purchase yet, right? So we have written that about 16% and 15% comparing to visual arts. Then the last line says, finally, little interest was shown in writing and computer. That is your overview point which are already written there. So finally little interest, the least of the interest. Now overview, I had written it, in this essay it's not there. So when you have already written it, this will definitely come on the second paragraph, right? So little interest was shown for computer and writing. Okay, so that is where your details will end. So this is, you have taken all the performances, right, put it down in the table. Given comparison, you have compared any performance depending on the age. 35 for 25 to 16 to 24 years, 35, and then you compared with visual arts. 35 and 30 is the highest. 25 to 44 like varumbam, the highest is any performance again, and the lowest is computer. Also, lowest is not computer, lowest for 25 to 44 is writing. Whereas for 45 to 74, it's computer and writing both. So that you can write together in one para. Then comes all age 16 and over, all age groups. In all age groups, highest is any performance, lowest is computers and writing, right? And somewhere equal to each other is cultural purchase and visual arts. Okay, so that is where your paragraphs will end. Fine. Now table has got lot of information. Now you cannot write all the numbers. You have to choose which is the most important. Like I told, mention all these references at least once in your essay. Not necessary you have to give all the numbers. Whichever is the most significant, the highest, the lowest, right? The similarities, right? That is what you have to mention here in the particular table, right? So this is what, now this is only for a 1 year. So increase decrease is not there. Increase decrease mainly happens when comparison between 2 or 3 years, more than 2 years. This is only for 1 year. So it will be always the highest number and the lowest number. ആ വർഷത്തിൽ ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ഏതായിരുന്നു ഏറ്റവും കുറവ് ഏതായിരുന്നു അതിൻ്റെ കമ്പാരിസൺ മാത്രമേ ഇതിനകത്ത് വരുള്ളൂ, right? That is what you have to write. Okay, so that is where we end about table report. So we have completed bar graph, line graph, pie and table, right? I hope that you have got an idea of it, how to write a report on table. But with practice, you can be more perfect or nearly perfect, right? So that is where we end today. Let's connect next week with another kind of report in academic task 1 writing. Till then, keep practicing, keep yourself safe and have a good day.